into the ridgeline 3 kilometers away, the explosion muted by the vastness of the landscape. A fireball rolled up the mountain. Then a second object fell. A parachute. It drifted down, landing on the high slopes of Black Top, a strategic height that overlooked both positions. "Pilot down," Vikram yelled into his radio. "We have a pilot down. Grid 44 Charlie." Jang was already on his radio. He looked at Vikram. The truce of the oil and medicine was over. The pilot was a high-value asset, intelligence, leverage. "Race you," Jang said, his voice cold again. The ascent. The climb to Black Top was a journey into hell. The altitude was 17,000 feet. The slope was 60 degrees of scree and ice. Vikram led a squad of 10 men. They moved in caterpillar formation, roped together. Every step was a battle. Step, breathe, breathe, step. The heart hammered against the ribs like a trapped bird. The lungs screamed for air that wasn't there. Technical warfare was forgotten. This was mountaineering with guns. "Contact left," the point man shouted. PLA climbers were ascending the northern face. They were using power descenders, mechanical winches that pulled them up the rope. It was faster, but it was noisy. "Suppressing fire," Vikram ordered. The Indians opened fire. But at this temperature, the chemistry of gunpowder changes. The burn rate slows down. The rounds lose velocity. Click. "Jam!" Jaspal screamed. "The bolt is frozen!" "Pee on it," Vikram yelled. "Urine is warm. Unfreeze the action." It was the most primal, degrading instruction of the war. But it worked. The soldiers urinated on the breeches of their rifles to melt the frozen lubricant. The guns fired again. The prize. They reached the crash site simultaneously. The wreckage of the Rafale was scattered across the snow, still burning. The heat was enticing, a siren song tempting them to get close. The pilot was entangled in his chute, hanging from a jagged rock outcrop. He was limp. Vikram and Zhang's squads reached the plateau. At the same moment, they were 20 meters apart. They raised their weapons, but nobody fired, because something else was there. Emerging from the smoke of the wreckage was a creature, a snow leopard, the ghost of the mountains. It had been disturbed by the crash. It stood between the two squads, its tail twitching, looking from the Indians to the Chinese with golden, unblinking eyes. It was a moment of absolute absurdity. Two nuclear-armed powers facing off over a broken man on a frozen peak, paused by a cat. The leopard snarled, a low, guttural sound, and then vanished into the rocks. The spell broke. "Secure the pilot!" Vikram roared, sprinting forward. The melee was brutal. It wasn't a firefight. They were too close. It was a brawl. Rifle butts, ice axes, combat knives. Vikram slammed into a Chinese soldier. The impact knocked the wind out of him. They rolled in the snow. The Chinese soldier tried to bring his knife to bear, but his movements were sluggish, slowed by the cold and the heavy layers of clothing. Vikram headbutted him. The composite helmet smashed into the soldier's visor, cracking it. The soldier fell back, gasping. Subedar Sharma had reached the pilot. He cut the lines with his kukuri. "He's alive!" Sharma yelled. "It's Wing Commander Varma. He's conscious." "Drag him," Vikram ordered. "Get him behind the ridge." The Chinese were regrouping. Zhang was shouting orders. A machine gun opened up, the bullets sparking off the rocks. "Smoke!" Vikram yelled. "Pop smoke!" They threw smoke grenades, but in the thin air, the smoke didn't billow. It clung to the ground in a heavy, pathetic carpet. It was enough. Under the cover of the grey haze, the Indians dragged the pilot over the crest of the ridge, sliding down the southern face.